Hello, chess world. Did you miss me?
Our favourite chess bad boy is back and making headlines. More on what he's just done in a moment, but first we have to dive into some chess. It's what we do here on Epic Cheese. Hans Niemann with the black pieces and his opponent, the Romanian Constantin Lupulescu. He's also a grandmaster. It's Le Francais French Team Championships. Let's dive in because after pawn d4 from Hans's opponent, he opens with knight f6, c4, gimme that centre, and g6 from Hans Niemann. Builds the old banana hammock. Here we see knight c3. Hans plays bishop g7, fianchettoing with panache, and pawn to e4. Daenerys, the mother of dragons, guiding the trio into the centre. This is a hyper-modern opening from black. You're playing to give white the space. Excuse me. And I'm drawing a few moves on the board here, just to give you a flavour of what can happen in the opening. I want to make sure you learn at the same time as enjoying these chess videos. Here are some common moves not played. Instead we see bishop to e2 selected. Castle's now on the board and bishop e3. The two bishops stacked. They look like rowers in a longboat here. Viking invasion, preparing to invade Hans Niemann. That sounded a bit wrong. Now we see a5 on the board. No cavity searches today, and knight f3 in response. Knight g4 goes after that bishop pair, so it jumps into g5, h6, kicks it. You can slide back along the long diagonal, but bishop h4 played. Provocative move. Invites g5, but Niemann holds off, just retreats that pony. Job done. It left its most desirable diagonal, and now we see pawn h3. g4 for the score on the way, and knight a6. A knight on the rim is a pathetic loser, as they say. Helps you remember not to put it there. Lovely little rhyme. And g4 now played, expanding, met by e5. This is thematic. Remember it for your own games. If you're getting attacked on the flank, then look to counter in the centre. As a rule of thumb, right? But rules are made to be broken by the top guys. d5 now on the board, and Hans says mine, 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 looking at that c5 square, just like the seagulls in Finding Nemo. e4 now pressured. His opponent sees it, slides back with the knight to cover. Yes, there's a pin here, but who knows if Hans is going to go g5 at any moment. Break the pin, gobble the e-pawn, and after pawn to c ships, sticking with the nautical theme, one of our favourite moves here on Epic Cheese. And if you're not yet subscribed, want to become a wannabe grandmaster like me, then consider subscribing. We see queen to c2. Tidy move, still white owns the centre. Hans has got to gain some space of his own, and he starts with a4. What's the idea? Well, after rook b1, the point is revealed with queen to a5. That one a menace on those dark squares. So what does white do? Expand with pawn to b4, forking knight and queen. Does Hans Niemann even hesitate for a second to play en passant? He is, of course, playing in the French Team Championships in France. He wins himself a croissant, as is customary at such events when you play en passant over the board. And then, for good measure, he puts the queen on b4 and sits on the head of this pawn. Nice bind for Hans here, but white holds the advantage anytime you run it with the engine because white's got the space. f3 now played, tidy move and completing a side quest. All pawns on light squares. Constantine wins himself dinner for two at a Parisian restaurant with a bottle of Bordeaux. Lucky him. We see bishop d7 connecting the two towers, castles, and now here's a strange looking move, but great positional points to it. Pawn to h5. You're goading forward this g-pawn. Does it want to take? Activate your knight. Does it want to move forward? Activate the light squared bishop. And also there are ideas later of activating the dark squared bishop for black here, because at the moment it's biting on granite. So king g2 played, very steady move, good chess. Rook a3 from hands, invading, eyeing b3, knight a2, evicts that queen, it drops back to a5, pressuring the pony, so rook b2 covers. Now you're truly threatening b4, wasn't working on the last move. Apologies, it's all this hay fever right now, the allergies killing me at the moment, and queen a8 played, dropping back, getting out of dodge before this fork comes, and now we see b4 on the board anyway. The knight hops to a4, hits that rook, it saves itself. We see an exchange, queen recaptures, and now the best way for black to go, take on d5, c takes natural to open this square for pieces, and b5, support the knight, but not played. Rook c8 from hands, and he's really going for the clock play here, trying to pressure the opponent. Clock time's on the left. This is over the board, classical chess if I didn't say it. And after rook a1, hands rapidly takes on g4, pawn recaptures, and now he should go b5, but he takes on d5 here, completely overlooking the fact that yes, you can play fast, but doesn't mean you can play bad. Does white recapture the pawn? No. We see knight to c3 played, and the horsey is dropping off the board. Pin and win, as they say. You can't move it. Pin to the queen. If b5, obviously white can be taking, and this poor knight here is just literally about to drop off the board. Apologies, it's hammering with rain outside, really distracting me. So what to do? Hands goes queen a7, looking for a dark squared invasion. The bishop drops back, hits the queen, d4 from hands, and now we see knight takes on a4. The piece dropping off the board. Hans Niemann getting pummeled harder than Vladimir Kramnik's block and report button on chess.com. Bishop h6 just played. Don't know if you can hear this rain. Absolutely raining cats and dogs. I did plant some grass seed earlier though, so now I'm buzzing. And after rook a2 to defend the knight, this one not overloaded by the way, because if bishop captures, you recapture with tempo on the queen. We see king to g7. Hans looking to sneakily slide his rook over one day. Knight c5 played, opens the attack on the queen, so queen b6. The bishop drops, tidy chess, knight recaptures, and now the best move for white is pawn c5. Very nice, just ripping open of the position. All the pieces come to life for white, and these pawns start dropping, even if you temporarily give a pawn. But missed. Queen a3 played, bit tentative. You see the bar react. Now we get queen d8. Hans sliding back, retreat to attack. He's in the ring, preparing to throw the jab, and it just goes from bad to worse for white. Because yes, Constantine is better, but his clock's way down. He goes bishop g3, looking for defensive maneuvers. Queen f6 most precise, but knight f8 played. And now after c5, knight e6, we get a terrible move. Knight c4 best, but queen a5 played. It's a bit meek. Desperate for the exchange, only drives Hans's queen into the danger zone, and now c takes on d6, miles away the best move. You open the queen to laterally attack this pawn in combination with the bishop, so black has to take a time out from attacking, but missed. Now knight c4 comes. It's subtle stuff. Knight f4 check, now best for Hans Niemann, but he misses it. Watch this bar jumping round like a pogo stick. I've even got a 47-year-old neighbour who still has a pogo stick. Very awkward watching him jump round the street. It wasn't played here though. Instead we see bishop f4, not knight f4 check. White should play c takes on d6, but bishop f2 played. Watch the pogo stick go. The bishop retreats back, but now there's a problem. This rook slides to the left, preparing to checkmate here, and after knight takes on d6, I say checkmate, sorry, deadly checkmating kind of attack, here, Hans unleashes the whirlwind with bishop e3, simply looking to remove the defender of the dark squares. And after bishop f1, not the best defensive move, but it was very difficult to find good resources, Hands now puts the finishing touch on with knight f4 check, and white resigns the game. Why? If you stagger up the board, this is literally a checkmate, and if you go back, we're in the back cave here, analysis mode, the queen can invade. Nice use of the pins, you can't take, this is pinned to the king, and how to prevent the mate here. You know, if bishop here to block, then you get something like this. You gobble up all the pieces, deliver the mate. This is one sample line. It's just curtains, whatever you do. Now, why is this game special along with the rest in this tournament? Well, here's Hans' rating. He's just crossed 2700 for the first time in a long while, maybe a year and a half, something like that. He's back playing with the big boys. Can he carry on the trajectory, make his way to world champion as he so desires? If you want to see the journey here on Epic Chess, smash subscribe, and don't forget to check out the video on screen if you want another epic game of chess. Thanks very much for watching, and see you soon.